Save the Semantics, episode 184. It is August 14th, 2022. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I ramble on for a bit about some shit. Got back from a trip last weekend. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it's already been a week since I've gone back. Like I feel like I've only been here for like, I don't know, a few days. Still kind of recovering. I'd say I'm mostly recovered from jet lag. I'm pretty fine in that way. But yeah, those first few days were rough for sure. I was just tired and I just had no energy. It was just I went to sleep like immediately, which is both like a pro and a con in that sense, right? I generally have some trouble going to sleep like that. I'm just kind of like tossing and turning for a lot of the time. So, if I had that ability to just kind of go to sleep just like that without, being distracted or whatever, that would be wonderful. I mean, that would just take. I'm guessing that would likely just take improving my sleep hygiene and all that fun stuff, which which is always a work in progress. I felt this past week though I feel like I've been pretty disciplined in terms of like going to sleep at particular times and then waking up at the same time and that sort of thing. For the most part, I was pretty disciplined. I kind of slacked off toward the latter end of this past week, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna try to keep it consistent to the best of my abilities, because it does a lot. Like I've mentioned, it does a lot in terms of like my my health and everything like that. So there's a lot to really consider in terms of how to go about improving your sleep and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to do that, and I'll keep you updated on how I feel. a little sleep journal, if you will. My trip was great. It was a really good time. It left me wanting more, but I'm also happy with what I was able to do. I was able to kind of do a lot of the things that I wanted to do, and I got to experience some cool stuff, checking out museums, trying out some food, sightseeing, seeing a lot of beautiful vistas. It was a good time. It was a good time. It's just coming back is just the rough part, just adjusting back to everything. After 2 weeks, man, at one point, like, I was feeling, damn, 2 weeks is a long time. It feels like, you know what I mean. It felt like a long time to just not be doing the usual things that I'm accustomed to doing. It was the longest break that I've had in longest non holiday break that I've had in just forever, right? It's what, summer of I don't know, summer of high school is probably the longest that I've had before that. So a 2 week vacation is something, man. It's something. But yeah, I think if I'm able to sort of do a trip like that once a year somewhere, I think that'd be a nice little thing to kind of throw in there to sort of break up the usual, right? And I'm thinking, I don't know. I don't know where I would go next, but I would definitely go back to Amsterdam for sure. There's a lot of there's a lot of things that I would like to do kind of on my second trip back. And yeah, other places in Europe. Europe is a big place. And traveling between countries is really not too bad. Uh, just like I took a couple of plane trips, and then I took a train from when I went from Rome to Venice. So transportation is nice there, and just kind of you can kind of just hop over to different places pretty easily, and that's nice. So I'm gonna take advantage of that the next time I when I do go back, because I am gonna go back. I just it's just a matter of when and where really. So yeah, really good stuff. I don't know. I don't really know what else to really talk about in that regard. If I think about something, then I'll bring it up in a later episode. But yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed my time there, and hopefully I can make time in the future to go back or travel elsewhere. Because I enjoy traveling. I think it's good. It's a lot of good. There's a lot of there's a lot of things to experience and kind of learn in terms of how you navigate the language, yeah, just navigating how to go about things, customs, right? Understanding the culture and how things are, respecting that, and there's a lot to consider. Seeing the differences from each country or each place that I was at in terms of how people's kind of way of living, way of going about things. Again, language. It's very interesting. So, yeah, definitely would like to experience those things again. Hopefully in the near future. Anyways, we're back. this is the for a little while. This was a little while back. This was the official NBA podcast, and now this is the official Xenoblade 3 podcast. So I've started the game. I started the game pretty much like almost immediately after I got back. I got my hands on it. I'm like, there's no way that I'm not. Like, I don't give a fuck how tired I am. I'm gonna play this. So I already have I already have 40 hours in, which is a little almost 40 hours in a week, which is a lot. That's a pretty much like a full fucking work week worth of gaming, which is hilarious. I mean, last week I pretty much played it for I don't even know how many hours, but I put in a ton last weekend. And I guess during this week as well, I've put in quite a bit. So that shit adds up, man. But I haven't been able to put it down. It's been so fun. Just kind of I'll give kind of my first impressions. I mean, 40 hours and hardly like I'm not even really in the beginning stages anymore, but it still feels like there's a ton of things that are kind of left to explore, and I'm really excited. I think the story is intriguing. I personally love almost every aspect of this. It's nearly an improvement in every regard to the first and second game. Just I think I'll start off. What should we start off with? There's so many things to touch upon. so many things to discuss. Let me think. Because whenever I talk about these things that I'm passionate about, I'm so scatterbrained and all over the place. I should just draft up like an outline of my thoughts first. before I record these. But I'll start off with the combat. The combat in this game is excellent. It's kind of the main draw for me for this game in particular. I think I'm currently playing it right now on hard mode, and it has definitely been pretty difficult at times, and I've gotten frustrated at times, but it's been good because when I do get past a certain, a certain difficult enemy, it's very satisfying because I'm like, okay, so this strategy worked. So I know what works for this and what are the, what each character's strengths are in terms of like, you know, in terms of like the combat and everything like that. So it's very satisfying when you're able to kind of pull things off and you you get the classes and you get just like the customization to where you want it to be. It is the game is very it's so I love how like the class system works in this game. I love just kind of the ability to switch from classes just whenever you want, and just like play around with all of them and try different things out. It's so fun. I think the best sort of best example that's kind of similar to this would be for Final Fantasy V, which I played a long time ago, and I don't even remember if I beat it or not. I don't think I beat it, but I remember playing it when I was much younger. It was one of like the first Final Fantasy games that I played, and I remember the class system for that was very. It gave a lot of freedom in terms of like what of your characters switching between like 26 different you know different types of jobs. That's what they called it in that game. White mage, black mage, fighter, monk, like pirate. Like I mean, there's just so many. There's just so much. There's so much of an ability to kind of like switch between all of these different jobs and kind of build up skills, which you can kind of carry over to another job that you're switching into. And so that was, I remember that being a lot of fun and giving the player a lot of freedom to build up like a really powerful character and sort of do just kind of just give you a lot of ability to just do a lot in that game, and so that's a lot of fun. And this game kind of is that in a similar. It gives a similar feel to that, where you're able to do a lot, and it's a lot of fun, man. It's really in combat. Or during combat, you're also able to switch between characters, which is great because you can really just manage this entire team in real time, and it just gives it give there there's just so much strategy involved. Like you have the topple, or you have the break topple, days, or I guess topple launch smash systems that they brought over from 1 and 2, and so that's in this game as well. And when you pull it off in combat for 3, it's very satisfying. It really feels like you're like disrupting the enemy from kind of their flow of attacking and that sort of thing. And it just works incredibly well. And it's so fun. I just want to like that's kind of been like a big reason for me just to keep playing and just to keep experimenting with all these different types of just customizing and all that fun stuff. So I just went through a particularly difficult like boss fight, and I think I went through it maybe like 10 times, and then when I finally beat it, it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling of like, okay, I finally got the I kind of got I managed the best possible group I could for this specific battle, with like the specific abilities that I needed in order to like succeed, and it was very well worth it, like just going through the struggle of like trying out different trying out different things for different characters, and seeing what kind of stuck around, and then kind of finally building up to the point where I was able to beat this boss. And yeah, that's very satisfying. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking. I'm like, I don't know how, if I want to delve into the story too much. Maybe I will. I just kind of, I don't want to. I'll maybe put like a spoiler warning or whatever for this, if anybody cares to you know experience the game for themselves or whatnot. But yeah, maybe I'll delve into the story like another time. I'll kind of give like a brief, just kind of my brief thoughts on the story. So far it's very interesting. Just there's so many layers of mysteries, and I'm also kind of like, I'm going into it as a full Xenoblade fan who's played, the first two games. I haven't played X, maybe we'll get around to that one day. But, I've played the main series, and so I'm kind of like viewing this game a sequel to those games. If I try to look at it from the perspective of someone who's never played this game, I think I can still enjoy a lot of the things that this game presents. Because I think, I would say I'm left in the dark just as much as pretty much a beginner fan who's never played the game before. I don't know what the fuck is going on, really. There's there's going to be a lot of mysteries that are going to be uncovered. I'm very curious as how everything is kind of turned out, how certain elements from 1 or 2 are kind of integrated into this game. Because I'm spotting like these references for 1 and 2. I'm like, oh shit, that's like that thing, and that's like that thing, and that's and that sort of thing. So, I'm very curious to how things kind of ended up the way they are in this third game. And so far, they've done a really good job of really keeping us in the dark. Like I've been trying to theorize like what could have possibly happened, and I've never really been good at correct or predicting correctly what's happened in these games. For the first game, I'm trying to think like what my kind of my process was in that game. I think it was, you just for the first game you just don't know what to expect for a lot of the things that happen. So I think I was just I was kind of struggling at that point too, trying to like figure out like, okay, what is the role of everybody in this world, and what are the motivations of these characters and that sort of thing. So, kind of the similar thing with this one as well. And I'm really excited to see how things kind of turn out. Because each of the, even like the main 6 characters, they all have their backgrounds, and they're all very interesting and intriguing characters, and we don't we know them, but we don't like we kind of we get like an idea of who they are, and just kind of uh how they've sort of related to this world and how they've related to the other characters. But yeah, there's a mystery to our main party as well, and so that's gonna be there's gonna be some uncovering to do there, and I'm excited to see how it all kind of unravels. Speaking of the characters, all the characters, or our main cast of characters, are excellent. I love their interactions with each other. They all feel like they've gotten like a spotlight so far, and I think I'm assuming that each of them are going to kind of get more as the story progresses, but I feel like they've all sort of gotten an adequate amount of the shine throughout the first few chapters of this game, and I love it. I think there's I think in the first game primarily focused on Shulk. I think most of the storylines revolved around Shulk. I would say the next character who got as much main story focus was probably Melia. But this one, it really feels like they're kind of all on mostly equal footing, and I think that's awesome. And they all are very distinct. They all feel very genuine. Like it seems how they kind of traverse and navigate this world is very interesting. They all have different perspectives on things, and it's great. I really love the writing and everything so far. And I can't wait to I really can't wait to just continue playing it. But I'm also trying to provide myself with like breaks in between, just so I don't I guess burn out in that sense. I don't think I'm gonna burn out in that way, but I have been playing this game quite a lot, as I mentioned. So it's all just a matter of giving myself a little bit of room to room to breathe and just kind of take in everything. But yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this game. It's been really good. It's pretty much everything that I've kind of wanted. Like I try to go into this with as tempered expectations, but it's really exceeded them. It's really been I didn't really know what to expect with the combat, and that's like the biggest thing that's really been sort of like an improvement from the other two, among other things. I mean, the quality of life for this is just it might be hard for some people to go back to like, I'd say two's kind of menu system and everything is gonna be a little like rough to kind of get back into after playing this one. I just because they've pretty much improved on everything in terms of like questing and navigation and travel. I mean everything, right? And they kind of built upon like one's like definitive edition sort of improvements in that sort of way, and I think it's worked out really well, and I'm really happy with what they've done so far. And and I think another thing too to touch upon is the tutorials in this game have been pretty good. I'd say there was only like a couple of times where I felt like it was a bit too handholdy. There was kind of like a moment where they were like showing how to equip like accessories, I think, or something like that, and I felt like I was like, okay, I feel like they could show it like one time, and I sort of get the point of it. So maybe a bit too much, a bit too of a much of like a micromanage there, but it's fine. It was like a small little thing. I think two's tutorials were pretty, probably one of the hindrances to it, or one of like the major criticisms that people had for it. And yeah, it's just, I didn't understand. I've said this before. I didn't understand, or I didn't fully grasp like the battle system or the combat system until like I was like fucking almost like toward the end of the game. It was when I was like, oh shit. So that's what you're supposed to do in terms of, nailing combos and everything like that. So this game, I've already feel like I've gotten a decent grasp on the combat, and I'm just trying to utilize everything to kind of the best of my abilities. I've already touched upon, the combat and the classes and switching and everything, but it also it introduced a lot of the core combat concepts pretty well, I think. And yeah, it's good. It's good. It's really good. Um, I don't know what else to say. I feel like I've just been saying, yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's so fun. It's so good. It's not a ton of. I feel like not a ton of really in-depth analysis, because there's a lot of interesting things going on with the story as well. And I also recently just listened to a podcast that was talking about Xenogears and its story, and a lot of the religious and psychological concepts that are uh, discussed and introduced in that game. And I'm seeing some of that in this game to a lesser extent, of course, to a much lesser extent. Xenogears is just completely on a different level in terms of the writing and storytelling and everything like that. It's hard to compare, but since it's from Tetsuya Takahashi, like it's hard not to kind of make those comparisons and kind of see see the inspiration there. So I'll hold off on talking about some of like the, some of those ideas that I see kind of present in this game and this story so far, because I feel I don't know where my brain's really at for to kind of have that discussion, but I do kind of want to maybe touch upon it maybe another time, next time, once I kind of delve deeper into the game and see where it goes. And maybe we'll do a little bit of research on that end as well, talking about some of the religious things that I kind of see present. So yeah, good stuff, man. Anyways, after this I'm probably gonna go back to playing a little bit more, hopefully not too long, because I pretty much stayed up until like 2 a.m. yet last night playing it, so I can't do that because I got work tomorrow morning. So I gotta be a little disciplined in that regard. So play it, but also be just take into account my responsibilities as well. Anyways, that's gonna do it for this episode. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.